there, Buttercups. Your resident T-Bell here. Welcome to Hark, 'tis the T-Bill. Let's dive in for that tea today, huh? After the fiery charge of Aries comes something slower, deeper, and grounded. The earth settles, the roots grow, and life begins to stabilize. Taurus enters the zodiac like a powerful bull walking calmly across a green field, steady, patient, and impossible to move once it has planted its hooves. This is the sign of beauty, loyalty, comfort, and quiet strength. Taurus is the zodiac's gentle giant, steady, reliable, sensual, and impossibly loyal. So let's talk about its ruling planet, Venus, okay? Venus is a planet of love and beauty. So, Venus influences Taurus traits such as artistic expression, love of luxury, romantic devotion, and appreciation for pleasure. So the bull isn't just important in astrology. It's actually a very powerful symbol across cultures and has been for thousands of years. So let's look at Egyptian mythology first. So the sacred bull Apis really symbolized fertility, strength, and divine protection. Bulls were one of the most sacred animals, believed to be a living manifestation of the god Ptah. There were temples that honored the sacred bull, and it played a major role in Egyptian religious ceremonies. But when we travel to Mesopotamia, the bull was tied to agricultural and seasonal cycles there. So it represented cosmic power and appeared in the epic tale of the bull of heaven sent by the goddess Ishtar. But if we travel to ancient Crete, they famously revered bulls, seen in artwork and rituals like bull leaping ceremonies. Across cultures, the bull has symbolized strength, fertility, and power. Okay. Now, when we go to ancient Greece, in Greek mythology, the bull connects directly to the story of Zeus and Europa, where Zeus transforms into a beautiful white bull to carry Europa across the sea to Crete. This myth eventually became associated with the constellation Taurus shining in the night sky. And I will go through that a little bit deeper, okay? Now, one thing that we know is that bulls throughout history have symbolized strength, fertility, abundance, protection, and connection to the earth. This is why it fits perfectly with Taurus's earth sign energy of stableness, groundedness, and just power. Now let's go into the Taurus constellation. It's one of the oldest recognized star patterns in the sky, and it was known to ancient civilizations for over 4,000 years. It is also one of the most recognizable star groups in the night sky, and it's actually really easy to spot. So it contains several famous stars and clusters. So the Aldebaran, the bright eye of the bull, this bright reddish star represents the eye of the bull. It's one of the brightest stars in the night sky, and it was once used by Babylonian astronomers to mark seasonal changes in agricultural cycles. Okay, and then we have a second, the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. Also called the Seven Sisters, this small, sparkling cluster has inspired myths around the world. Many cultures saw these stars as sisters, maidens, or divine figures. And Hyades, a V-shaped star cluster. This cluster forms the face of the bull in the constellation. These stars have guided sailors and storytellers for thousands of years. Now, when to see Taurus? In the northern hemisphere, Taurus is easiest to spot during the winter months, especially from November through February. You want to look for Orion's belt, then follow it upward, and you'll find Taurus. It became a symbol of cosmic strength and earthly abundance. And the Taurus constellation isn't just a Greek story. It's a global star legend. We will discuss the Greek story, though, don't worry. But in Mesopotamia, Taurus was the bull of heaven, sent by the goddess Ishtar to punish mortals in the Epic of Gilgamesh. In Japanese folklore, Taurus is linked to the ox stars, symbolizing hard work, patience, and agriculture. Farmers tracked these stars for planting and harvesting seasons. And in Egypt, they connected Taurus with fertility and the Apis bull. They believed that the constellation guided the flooding of the Nile, which was critical for agriculture. But have you noticed a theme here, Buttercups? this is all about agriculture and fertility and stability, and this is what it represents in the different cultures. And here's the thing, whether you're in ancient or modern astrology, it's going to be similar. Because in ancient societies, Taurus symbolized, again, agriculture, fertility, and wealth and land ownership. Farmers looked to Taurus season as a time to plant crops and nurture growth. And Taurus has been recognized as zodiac sign for over 4,000 years, right? And here's the thing, even when we look at like the Babylonian part of this all, right? It came one of the Babylonian astrology was one of the earliest zodiac systems, right? And so Babylonian astronomers refer to Taurus as a heavenly bull. This constellation marked an important time in agricultural calendar where farmers were preparing for planting season, right? And then later, Greek astronomers adopted and expanded on the Babylonian zodiac traditions, right? So the famous astronomer Ptolemy was actually documenting Taurus in his astrological texts, where the sign was linked with wealth, fertility, stability, love of beauty. So Taurus became associated with the planet Venus, the celestial body connected with love, art, pleasure, etc., right? Now, let's look at modern astrology. Because today, Taurus is associated with luxury, art and beauty, and stability and comfort. So, modern Taurus energy is often described as comfort loving, sensual, determined, and grounded. The thing is it's the same throughout it. The themes will not change. There's art and love and luxury, and there's so many ways that it's represented. Whether how it's viewed is not necessarily the key, because everybody has a different view of things, but it's all the same principle. All right, so if you are into tarot, Taurus is connected with the tarot card, the Hierophant. And so this card represents tradition, wisdom, spiritual guidance, and into institutions and values. So much like Taurus, this card reflects stability, structure, and connection to established systems. Now, both Taurus and the Hierophant emphasize grounded wisdom, values and traditions, patience and consistency, trust and long-standing knowledge. So, its shared themes are essentially something that they both incorporate, but it's going to tell us that the light side of Taurus is going to allow for grounded wisdom. Your having your values and traditions, being patient and consistent, and having trust and long-standing knowledge, right? But the Hierophant reminds us that sometimes true strength comes from a steady foundation rather than from dramatic changes. It's a very Taurus way of moving through the world, right? And that kind of helps us understand the Taurus archetypes, right? So the builder, the provider, the artist, the collector. Now, these archetypes that we just mentioned focus on creating beauty and stability in the physical world. So let's look at the bull. Its core essence is strength, stability, and persistence. Traits that the bull can have would be patience, determination, groundedness, and protectiveness. Now, there's always a shadow side to everything, right? So, they can be stubborn and resistant to change, right? Essentially, the bull is slow and steady but unstoppable. You do not want to mess with the bull. Now, you have the lover of beauty and luxury. Okay? Their core essence is sensuality, aesthetic appreciation, and comfort. So they could have refined taste, a love of art, good food, and cozy spaces. The thing is that this type can become materialistic or indulgent. In their mind, life is meant to be savored, wine, chocolate, and golden sunsets included. Your comfort seeker. A homebody grounded in routines who enjoys life's pleasures. Okay? This person is loyal, steady, and reliable. However, this person can also be resistant to stepping outside their comfort zone. So, in their mind, if it's soft, warm, and familiar, you can count them in. Right? Now, you have that patient builder. They are slow and steady in their growth. They are persistent towards long term goals, which means they're responsible, hardworking, and focused. Unfortunately, this means that sometimes they will be inflexible and overly cautious. So, for this type, yes, we know Rome wasn't built in a day, and y'all, neither is a Taurus empire. Okay, then we have the earthy nurturer. This person is connected to nature, fertility, and growth. So essentially, they are practical, caring, grounded, and protective. However, they can be possessive or overly protective. They'll nurture your dreams, but you don't want to uproot their garden. Okay? Now, you have the loyal friend, someone who's devoted, steady, and trustworthy. They are dependable, they are a patient listener, they're fiercely protective of loved ones. Unfortunately, this can lead to them being jealous and overly attached. And essentially, once a Taurus is your friend, you're in for life. Okay? And of course, we have the mythic bull. So, this core essence is their connection to ancient stories and cosmic power, which means they're majestic, mysterious, strong, and enduring. Unfortunately, this means that they may carry pride or stubborn ego. And this mythic bull is not just any bull. It's a legend written in the stars. Okay? Now, we talked about some of the shadow parts of everything of a Taurus, but remember Taurus is an earth sign. It's ruled by Venus, and it makes them grounded, sensual, and pleasure-loving. Their personality is a mix of strength, stability, and loyalty with a little stubborn charm. Now, some of the more positive traits are that they are strong and determined, because once a Taurus sets a goal, nothing is going to stop them. They're grounded and practical, so they're realistic thinkers who handle life steadily. They are sensual and pleasure loving, so they enjoy comfort, beauty, good food, and luxury. They're loyal and dependable, so they're a fierce protector of friends and family. Pretty much anybody they consider their person. They're patient and persistent. They take their time, but they go their claim. Their goal is to achieve lasting results. They appreciate beauty, so they're drawn to art, music, and aesthetics. And they seek comfort. Okay? They love cozy spaces, home, and stability. Now, what does that mean for a challenge, right? That means, well, they can be stubborn. They can be inflexible when challenged. They can become materialistic. So sometimes they're going to focus more on money or possessions. They may be resistant to change. They may be lazy if unmotivated. They love comfort so much that action can slow down, right? They can become possessive or jealous. Fierce loyalty, when guided correctly, can be a very good thing. But when not guided correctly, can turn into possessiveness. Basically, once a Taurus decides something, changing their mind is like trying to move a mountain. Taurus is one of the most romantic signs of the zodiac, and in relationships, they are devoted, sensual, protective, and loyal. They love comfort and physical affection, but they might struggle with jealousy, possessiveness, and emotional stubbornness. That all kind of moves over from the basic part of a Taurus, right? Now, Taurus friends are the people who cook amazing meals, share music and art, and create cozy gatherings. They are incredibly dependable and will stand by their friends for years. Now, remember, that's something else. They liked the beauty of life, right? But as an enemy, when you anchor a Taurus, they are immovable, quietly furious, and relentless. They will rarely start a fight, but once pushed too far, they refuse to back down. Which means that you're in for it, basically. And then remember, we do have, there's a dark side to everything. But the shadow side of Taurus really will include greed, laziness, stubbornness, and an effort to cling to comfort instead of growth. Their love of stability can sometimes become fear of change. Now, here's the thing. Everything needs guidance, whatever it might be. So that dark side will come out, but only if the level of guidance is not done right. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, everyone needs guidance in some form or fashion. Now let's look at some famous Taurus personalities. Adele, with her soulful, grounded, and powerhouse vocals, is one of them. George Clooney, with his classic Taurus elegance and loyalty. Salvador Dali, Queen Elizabeth II. Dwayne Johnson, with his strength, persistence, and charm. Gigi Hadid, with her beauty, poise, and determination. And Channing Tatum, with his groundedness, hardworking personality, and playfulness. Although for Channing Tatum, I will go ahead and say that if he is like what he is in the movies in real life, that silly kind of, awkwardness, I'm here for it. These individuals often show Taurus traits like determination, creativity, and resilience, which doesn't surprise me and should not surprise you. Now, you didn't think you were getting out of this without some fun facts, right? Of course. So let's get into it. Taurus is an earth sign. Their lucky stones include emerald and jade. Many musicians are Taurus because their Venus influence. Taurus rules the neck and throat in astrology. And no matter the culture, the bull always represents strength, protection, and prosperity. Very Taurus energy. They love comfort. They're loyal to friends like no other. They're patient, but don't push them too far. They love food, especially indulgent treats. They enjoy a cozy home life and routine. They can push through any obstacle, slowly but steady. Often has a magnetic presence. People notice their calm confidence. Taurus is grounded, practical, and steady, like the earth it represents. They're also dependable and rooted in reality. Now, Venus makes Taurus lovers of comfort, beauty, and sensual experiences. So great food, gorgeous art, and luxury feel essential, not frivolous. Taurus is often called one of the most loyal signs of the zodiac. They show up and they stay. Taurus individuals take their time. They don't rush, but when they commit, they follow through. They're often excellent with money. They save, invest, and build security methodically. Taurus craves natural beauty, forests, gardens, parks, etc., and many have a green thumb or deeply enjoy nature retreats. They might seem relaxed, but Taurus often has a strong, long-term strategy. They work towards big goals in a calm, steady way. Taurus doesn't wear their heart on their sleeve. They feel deeply, but reveal emotions only to a trusted few. Despite the stereotype of practicality, many Taurus people shine in artistic expressions, something like music, painting, fashion, or design. Taurus will also often find peace in gardens, forests, and outdoor retreats. And they have a keen eye for style and elegant aesthetics. Now, sensory pleasures like texture, aroma, and taste are experienced deeply. Comfort is not a luxury, it's essential to their well being. And once they trust you, a Taurus will remember everything, both good and bad. And based on what we already found out so far, none of these should surprise you. Now, when we talk about Taurus, we're stepping straight into the world of Greek mythology, gods in disguise, and one very determined bull. And that, if you listen to the beginning of this episode, you would understand the determination one has as a Taurus. But we're going to go and actually dive into the myth behind Taurus, which is the most famous myth connected to Taurus, centering around Zeus, the powerful king of the gods. Now, according to legend, Zeus became completely captivated by a beautiful Phoenician princess named Europa. But instead of simply introducing himself, because apparently gods enjoy drama, Zeus transformed himself into a magnificent white bull. Not just any bull, though. This one was gentle, majestic, and glowing with divine beauty. Well, Europa and her friends were gathering flowers by the sea when the calm, friendly bull approached them. Curious and enchanted, Europa climbed onto the bull's back. Big mistake. Well, or maybe destiny. Because that moment that she did, the bull charged into the ocean and swam across the sea, carrying Europa all the way to the island of Crete. Now, once there, Zeus revealed his true identity. Now, Europa eventually became the queen of Crete and the mother of several legendary figures in Greek myth. To commemorate the story, perhaps because of his impressive acting skills, Zeus placed the image of a bull among the stars as a constellation of Taurus. And that is how the beautiful celestial bull took its place in the night sky. But why the bull? Well, we've learned that the bull symbolizes many traits that astrologers associate with Taurus today. Their strength, steady and powerful, their stability, grounded like the earth element, patience, calm until pushed, the luxury and beauty, whereas Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and pleasure. So, when you think of Taurus, imagine that majestic mythological bull, calm, powerful, irresistible, and maybe just a little stubborn. Now, the Taurus myth, especially the story of the Cretan bull and Europa, carries some subtle lessons. Patience and persistence. Taurus is slow to anger, but unstoppable once determined. The bull represents steady strength and endurance. Desire versus temptation. Europa's encounter with the bull, Zeus in disguise, hints at navigating desires carefully. Sometimes what seems beautiful or alluring might hide deeper consequences. And the respect for nature and power. The bull symbolizes raw power. Myths often warn that disrespecting natural forces can backfire, right? So essentially, Zeus is transformed himself into a magnificent white bull to approach her. She climbs onto his back and he swims across the sea to Crete, and then later places the bull's image in the stars, forming the Taurus constellation. But is that a surprise to anybody, knowing anything about Zeus that they do? If Aries is a spark that begins the journey, Taurus is the earth that allows it to grow. It reminds us that life is not only about rushing forward. Take the time, smell the flowers, and enjoy the scenery around you. Sometimes the greatest power lies in standing firm, cultivating beauty, and building something that lasts forever. Buttercups, I thank you for listening and for being a part of this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you have a great week ahead. Now, should you have any questions, comments, or, maybe future topics, you can email me at harktisthetbell@gmail.com. You can locate me on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. And please remember that this is a one-woman show. So, as we go on this journey together, you are growing as I grow. But until next time, Buttercups,